starting now, you can access this report on our website, that is siasaflix.com. You can go there and download it. And also for the Zoom participants, I will share the link to this report so that you also can download it, and anyone who's watching this can be able to download it right now. So again, we are launching this, and I will ask the moderator for today to just give a brief overview of what this is about before we maybe step into the opening remarks. So without much further ado, help me welcome my colleague, Mr. Grayson Marin.
Mr.
Thank you, Grace. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for making time to be with us here this morning. Apologies for starting late, but I believe we'll be able to cover what is expected of us today. So, Karibuni, and I want to ask those who are outside, please go ahead, so that we can all start together. Those of you who are joining us online, we will be talking to you, we'll be getting your comments, we'll be getting your feedback. Please feel free to engage on the comment section. We'll be reading those comments, and also at some point we'll be able to give you an opportunity to contribute on this report on the status of youth governance in Kenya. Asanteni sana, and we'll be coming back to you as we progress with this meeting. I now want to invite my colleague Ken to give opening remarks at this forum that we are having here today. Thereafter, we will proceed and move to get other speakers to share their sentiments on the report. Other than that, to also give their comments on what they think about this report. So I want to invite Ken to give his opening remarks on behalf of siasaflix and NYBA. Those are the implementing partners of this project.
So, good morning. So, let me take this opportunity to say thank you for responding to the call. And I would just like to give a brief background of this report. So, a number of things are happening. And the report we are talking about is called the status of youth governance in Kenya. So the idea came when we were reflecting, we are going into election and we still don't understand the position of the youth. So there is some processes that took place. We understand the BBI was there. There are a lot of other recommendations that have been made in the past. And therefore, siasaflix, in collaboration with National Youth Body Association, came together and said, as young people, what do we need to do? And we say, let us have a status of youth governance. A number of things. We were looking at three main things. What are some of the successes that we have had as young people? And then, what are some of the challenges that we are still dealing with, and what are our recommendations? So, in that regard, we were able to identify stakeholders around 75 who went and sat in Kisumu for roughly 2 days. The stakeholders included, we have 8 different counties representing the former regions, the 8 regions. We had youth wing of political parties, and then we had National Youth Council. We had the county government of Kisumu, the youth department, and therefore people, all of them came up with ideas. And when they came up with the ideas of what they felt were some of the things that they would regard as success, what they thought are some of the challenges that we still need to deal with, and then finally they also gave recommendations. So in that process, a number of the issues that were identified were categorized into three. One, they noted some of them were administrative, others were legislative in nature, and others just require policy. And because I don't want to go and read the entire report, and I hope the report will be shared with you on your table. The report identified the issues and identified as follows. So in that process, this convening noted that number one problem that youth in Kenya are still struggling with is lack of public participation, and that is in decision making and in budget. So we looked into it, and we say the recommendation was we needed to have an advocacy strategy that is targeting the county assembly and the national assembly and all other stakeholders to ensure that we are able to increase money for public participation. The report has the details why they felt the money was not enough. Partly, part of the reason was because Kenyan leadership or Kenyans have not yet embraced public participation. So some of the leaders think it is probably a privilege, a gift, and therefore they don't give it the premium it deserves. In some counties, we realize that money for public participation can easily be diverted to do other things. And then number two issue that came up was lack of inclusion in programs. And one of the things that they probably talk about is like you walk into a police station, if we have our colleagues who probably are deaf and cannot talk, then you cannot be served. So this meeting recommended that there is a need to petition the Inspector General so that number one, we can include this into their training curriculum, but also have people at the office level where they can always, nobody should go to the police. Nobody should go to the police station and leave without being served adequately. And then problem number three was on issues of the need to increase effectiveness of National Youth Council. And some of the things we discussed were the body is underfunded, they only rely on the goodwill of partners, and therefore they need to be given more support. And then the meeting also noted that lack of capacity among the young people to engage. And some of the things that were coming out from that discussion were like young people are still asking for transport reimbursement. So whenever you call them for public participation, they will ask for sitting allowance, standing allowance, and even speaking allowance. And then we also noted the need to create structure for mentorship. As they were saying, there's no way people can get to that higher level without being mentored, and some of the youth probably miss direction because they don't have somebody to mentor them. And therefore, the meeting also noted with a lot of concern that we need to initiate structured mentorship. And then we also say we need to have a convening, both national and county, where youth come and discuss youth issues. And in this regard, we were talking about not like any other meeting where people come, discuss, leave, we sleep in good hotels and just go back home. Next year we have another. So they were saying we need to have a convening, national convening on issues of youth, and issues that are discussed must also be given an implementation framework such that in the next year we are able to track where we are. And then there was also an issue of change of election act, where some of us felt leadership is not about the degrees. And some of us were recommending, there was a lot of discussion, which I don't want to go back into, where they are saying we need to change the election act so that we remove the part that talks about you must have a degree to be elected. And then there was also issue of the need to implement the national youth policy 2019. That is another document which people are like, okay, it's a good document, but it does not help you. So how do we implement it? I've talked about the inclusion of young people. We talked about the need for the governor to also be the need for governors to also give their report when they're giving the report of the county address. One of the things that needs to also be included is the status of public participation. And some of the things, other reports that people also adopted is the aspect of the BBI on shared prosperity. So this meeting, the meeting said, we would like the way they were recommended in the BBI to be fully implemented. And then there was an issue with the amendment. The meeting also recommended amendments to the University Act. They feel that, hey, this act is unfair to young people. It kills a lot of young people are sent up from the university. I cannot proceed their education. Probably if the school doesn't like your face, be sent. And the act is the cause of this problem. Finally, we also noted with a lot of concern, and I think this should form a major part of our debate, that youth don't have money in their pocket. So a lot of work has gone into this, and we talked about 30% AGPO, which is not being implemented, and the recommendation was now you need to work with the county and national government to ensure that AGPO is implemented. So 3 things that probably were recommended. One is county governments needed to give a statement or a report on the status of the implementation of AGPO. Number 2, needed to have the list of the companies that were given the tenders, probably to help certify. And then number 3, their next plan on how they are going to implement AGPO. So since the report was launched, we have also tried to reach out to a number of stakeholders. Some of us are in the room, some are online, others didn't make it to this meeting. And I know that we have reached out to the county government of Kisumu to see into how we will be able to increase this. And there is planned meeting with some of the stakeholders, actually the budget committee, to see how we can help improve this. A number of youth have also started following up with the respective counties. And the one that we are looking for, and I've seen one of the critical players, Mr. Buluma, is here, is Nairobi, where we have not done so much. So probably I would kindly ask Grayson to give him a chance at the right time so that he can also give a commitment, because he's a very good mobilizer and he works for you. We have also reached out to a number of political parties. Like I said, we worked with a total of 12 political parties. And we are reaching out to specific parties so that they help us as young people mobilize for the issues that have been identified in the report. Finally, we had the issues to deal with the National Youth Council, and I can see some of the stakeholders thinking how we can go about it. How do we need to address it? I would like to urge the meeting that while we were discussing the issue of National Youth Council, a lot of issues came up, which we documented so well. And one of the questions that people kept on asking is, we have National Youth Council, but we also have Youth Commission proposed in the BBI. What is the difference? So those are some of the things that we are looking up to. And therefore, the reason for this meeting is so that we look at the gaps that we still have that we need to fill, but also to officially launch this report so that it can be used by all youth organizations, all people interested in the youth work. And it's no longer a CSA-based document, it's a document for the Republic of Kenya. And you don't need to seek for permission to say that this report speaks to the youth issues. But you also acknowledge the people who did the work so that you don't say you are the one who did it. So at this point, I think Preston have given the explanation that it requires. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's appreciate them, Sunday. Taking time later on to come and share more about the report. Now, as he has clearly mentioned, we are not just here alone. We have different stakeholders who are in this meeting. And I know we'll get a chance to hear who and who is in the house. But right now, I want to invite 2 or 3 speakers to come and share their sentiments on this report. Thereafter, we will launch it and then continue having a discussion about it. So I want to begin with the gentleman close to me, Mr. Benson Musungu from the Orange Democratic Party, Orange Democratic Movement Party, ODM. Briefly, maybe 2 or 3 minutes to share your sentiments as a youth leader on this report that we are launching today. Karibu sana.
Good morning. Niko sawa. Nataka from studio kidogo mshtuki. Otherwise, I hope you are okay. You're taking care of yourself. Hii imesanitiziwa boss. Have you sanitized? It's important. Yeah, my name is Benson Musungu. I'm the Director of Youth Affairs ODM. And I'm happy to be here this morning and to meet all of you. Some of you have not seen for a very long time. This corona has kept people indoors kabisa, hatupatani, hata baa imefungwa kabisa, lakini mambo itakuwa sawa. Yes, I saw this report and just thank the CSA place and the people who took part in it, and say that what a few of our members took part in this report and making this report, and of course it cannot touch on everything, but at least it touches on the main things. Last week we had a by-election in a place called Bonchari in Kisa. And I was there, I was part of speaker. This is what I got from Kisi, by the way. I exchanged my phone with this from the cells. When you were there, I'll just share this because I'm here. But there, of course, you saw the mayhem of intimidation and all that. At some point, we were arrested and we were put in a cell for around 38 hours. And my observation, the reason I'm sharing this story, is when I got to the cells, we were around 42. 42 people. We found around, we were 13, but we found around 30 other more people in that cell. And in that cell, only 4 were the elderly. That means 26 people in that cell were youth. Young people actually, not even 30. That is, the youngest was 12 years. Then there was a 13-year-old, then there was a 22-year-old, then the average age was 21. And that tells you the problem we have in this country is the youth. And when we went through, in fact, we did a seminar in that cell, and we wanted to know where we shikiwa nini kufanya ukakuja hapa, and I realized that most of the people who were in that cell, they were petty offenders. Wenye wameiba nguo, mwingine kafyu imempata nje, na amefungwa, atapata pesa tu 1,000 shillings ya fine ya kwenda nyumbani. So akafungwa kifungo ya mwezi mmoja kwa cell because haja afford kupata 1,000 ya kulipa for the fine. And another one had stolen 30 pieces of clothes and was still in that cell, amefungwa miezi 6. And another one, a bodaboda guy, mwenye alipatikana kwa curfew, hapa na pesa ya kulipa, and they needed 5,000 shillings. He never got the money, so he's inside for 2 months. Then you wonder, yes, why? The reason is our youth don't have money. We have no money. The most people are suffering out here, our youth, because they have no access to finances. So at the end, they become thieves, others get themselves in so many things, immorality is high. And so when people wake up and do a scan on youth and governance, it's something that is good and something that touches the hearts of the people for development purposes. I'll talk on the issue of ACPO that has been mentioned here. This is something that came out so well. I know Mheshimiwa Sakaja and the crew, they really tried touching on the issue of ACPO, the access to opportunities in government by our youth. But when I was discussing it with CCS, I realized, did it really work? I have some young people whom I was helping to come up, set up a company, a young company of young people. And the main thing that we were doing this is to ensure that AGCO helps them access business in these county governments and other institutions. But you realize it's more on paper than reality. Then who should be the person to ensure these AGCO issues implemented to the latter? Those are the questions that we must ask ourselves and see where we will end up. Because as for me, I think it is just being put there, but again, it's being used like tokenism, whereby my friend Bruno would want to open a company, and because he feels if it is a company that has an ACPO certificate, it will get more business. He has been doing, so he will pick some young man in the village and put that young man in that to register, to help register that company, because that young man is below 35. Then after picking that young man, they will learn the businesses using the name of that young man, but the proceeds of course will go to the elderly. You get it? So I would want us to, as the youth serving organizations, to get to a point whereby we can follow up this. The way bylaws are followed up in these municipalities or counties to ensure that people pay taxes, revenue is collected. We should have a team that will follow up this issue of AGPO and really come out and ask hard questions. Since it was brought into being, how many young people have really done business with these counties, with the National Assembly, with the county governments, county assemblies, and really come up with a database that will show hope. So my duty is, of course, I'm talking to myself too, as a political party. It's something that we said that I give an undertaking to the CSA Place team that it's something that you must look into, even as the ODM party and even as the ODM youth league, to look into the counties that we have good governance, so as we see where we can help and where we can instill the same. Then there is the issue of public participation. Yes, this public participation, those who wrote the constitution, was something that was brought forward to ensure that there is accountability on what our leaders are doing in the leadership. And the problem again is, it is more on paper. It is more on paper and full of tokenism too. People go to this house, leaders or governments will call you for public participation when they want, and they come with big documents, and they give you those documents. Some of our people are not learned. They don't know how they can produce in a document for only 15 minutes and come up with a way forward. So, what is the way forward in the Senate? Public participation, if there is a document that people should go through, they should first of all send those documents to these people maybe 1 month or maybe 2 weeks before. So as our people will go through, then after going through, then they will call now for that public participation with a point of information. Because you cannot go for a meeting and be given such a document. This one is small logo, but hizo za miradi zinakuwa kubwa, and give our people who are not going to school to peruse through and discuss and agree. That is something that again we must see the way forward on it. Of course, there are issues of lack of inclusivity, but again, as we talk of inclusivity, what do we mean? Because you might be included or involved, but do you know what you're being involved in? Those are the questions one would ask. Lastly, there's this issue of the National Youth Council. Many of us in this room, I think they joined politics through the National Youth Council. Yes? Kuna mwenye alikuwa National Youth Council? Hapa? So we are leaving the stage very soon. Tumezeeka. I joined politics through the National Youth Council. It was the first political experience I ever had when I was young. I was around 23 years old, back 2011, 2008, 2008, 2009, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, that time, when there was this agitation for the formation of the National Youth Council. We went to the streets, agitated for it, wengine wakashikwa. We remember those were the first times we entered the cells in Nairobi. Kashiko tulipikwa sasa huko, but mwishowe, the Babylon Mungu was appointed as Minister for Youth, and the first thing that he did was to put the National Youth Council in place. But then, when that happened, some of us left it to those who were there and joined politics. That's when I joined ODM Kabisa and Tukanisha Youth. But the National Youth Council remained. But then, Bruno will tell you if it has done what it was meant to do or not. Many years down the line, we are here again. The National Youth Council now, the National Youth Policy was, I think, reenacted, And now we have an appointing National Youth Council, according to what I had last time on the floor of the House. And now people want to be elected to represent the youth, but people will be appointed by the minister. Who is there? So that is what is there right now. That is what is there now. There is no more election. It's now appointed. National Youth Council.
Yes.
It's now appointed. Yes. I don't know if that is in the spirit of the youth. I don't know if it serves your interest. I don't know if it serves the interest of those people you represent. I don't know if it's the best thing that has ever happened. According to me, we've just gone back and we've just made it any other board, any other organization out there. Because it won't be representative. It will have what you call political, it will be now more even political than how they feared it to be. Because the National Council was set to be the youth voice of this country, to ensure that youths are employed, to ensure that there is inclusivity, both politically, both socially, economically, and all those things. But as it is now, it has been brought back to now what it is right now in Bunge. And I'm here, they will be calling for public participation on the same because it's an active bill in Bunge. And my fear is when a bill is already going to Bunge, whatever you say, whatever you do, it's just, you can't really call people in Juzi. In Bunge, people are crying, but they can never add a comma or a dot. So I don't know if it is already a done deal that Yezi and Daniel Taylor. I think he'll tell us more because I know KYP worked a lot on ensuring that it is what it is today. Yes, but I'll tell you for sure that many of our youths will not be happy with the content of that Kenya, of that National Youth Council as it is. Then I saw something of about the BPI and what BPI is saying about this matter. There's a youth commission. There is there is a youth commission. There's the issues of tax holidays that will help the youth. There is these business hubs in roads. There is the increase of money that will go to counties and will go to roads. And to me, many of those will help in making sure that the youth have money in their pocket in one way or another, but only if we stand up strong as the youth to be counted. So my undertaking will be, it is a struggle and it's been a struggle. The youth involvement in everything in this country has been a struggle across the world. And even in Kenya here, it's been a struggle. And what I'll tell everybody is, let's keep fighting, let's keep working, let's keep making sure that the change you can do. My undertaking as the ODM, will do all we can, and I do ask the CSA people to help us to ensure that we can do what we can do. God bless.
Thank you so much. Let's appreciate him. Thank you. Next, I want to ask Mr. Michael from Forum2. I'll give you 2-3 minutes to also share with us your sentiments. And then from there, we'll continue. And I want to assure everyone who is in this meeting today that you'll get an opportunity to give your comments or feedback, especially those from political parties. Mr. Michael.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Okay, Michael Owin is my name. I work at Forum2. Forum2 is a youth space for artists and youth generally. We use arts as a way of engaging with youth nice. Yeah. Yeah, we use that as a way of engaging the youth in national matters, governance, human rights, and also mambo ya mfuko, pesa kwa mfuko economically, because we believe that art is a very powerful way of bringing the youth voice into spaces that matter. Yeah, with regards to the report, glance through it, and I'm very, very, first of all, I want to appreciate CSR and the National Youth Bunge Association for this report. I think it's a very timely report, especially now that next year is an election year. And it's important that all of us in the youth space, we take stock of where are we in terms of issues of governance, and where do we want to be. It's a discussion that is important that we need to have. And listening through the report, I saw you did a very comprehensive report going back, looking at the history of the four presidents that we've had, and what they've been able to do for the youth. And now that, especially now that we are going into an election year in 2022, and the BBI question is also there. Yeah, I've seen some of the recommendations for the advocacy plan that you have, which is also very well thought out, very well read. I just wanted to add a few, because for me, when we talk about governance and the youth, there are three things that we must tackle. One is political participation. We all know that governance in this country is acquired through political parties. And the state of youth with regards to their participation in political parties is something that still needs to be, something that needs to be discussed, because I remember when the current parliament was being sworn in, then there were these nomination of youth to various as members of parliament and also as members of IALA. There were one of the members who was nominated to join IALA was somebody we don't describe as a youth, but promote here. But I don't want just to bash ODM about, because this is something that cuts across all political parties. The other parliament had the Mugo also being nominated, where there's so many young people being left out. So my question is, my take will be that as players in the youth sector, we also need to engage political parties. I'm very happy that Benson is here, so that they also, as they plan and strategize to capture power in 2022, what is the place for youth? In the BBI document, I hear there is a plan for that any nominated persons, whether be it people with disabilities, be it youth, be it women, there will be now a very clear process of ensuring that whoever gets nominated at least tried to buy, probably was number 2 or something, and that's now the criteria for nomination, which is a good thing, because a lot of youth have tried vying, but when it comes to nominations, chama iko na wenyewe. So it's a good proposal, but I think whether BBI sails through or not, that is something that probably we should insist that it becomes a practice for all political parties. How we are going to do that, I don't know. Maybe look at the Political Parties Act and see if it is something that we can insert there, that will compel the political parties to ensure that they have a very transparent process of nomination, because a lot of young people, a lot of parliamentarians who nowadays are very, very good, very vocal, found their way to parliament through nomination. So it's a very important avenue through which, especially the youth, can find their way to these governance spaces. So yeah, that's one of the things I wanted to add. And then secondly, the issue of the youth policy. The National Youth Development Policy is being is a new one now, but that is at the national level. We also need to, the youth policy is also another avenue through which we can enhance governance, or rather ensure that many young people get into these governance spaces. But at the county level, last week, but one I was in some meeting with the Nairobi County Department of Youth. They're coming up with the the county youth policy for Nairobi, which is a good thing. And they probably will look at what they'll try to cascade what the national youth policy at the national level to the county level. And I was surprised to learn that only Kakamega County has a youth policy. That is something that should be should worry all of us, especially since there's a proposal to increase county allocations. So it means if the youth are not sufficiently involved at the county level, then that is one area that we might be missing out. So Ken and your team, county focus at the county level also is something that we should be looking at, so that because I know the national youth policy provides avenues through which the youth can participate in meaningful discourses at the national level, and I believe so that at the county level, the same spaces are available. So that's also another area that we should be looking at as a way of bringing many young people into the governance space, so that they can also participate not only in their development at the county level, but also influence what happens at the national level with regards to youth matters. Finally, I also want to weigh in on the issue of the youth and money. I know without economic empowerment, even this governance will be a mirage. So anything that touches on youth should also look at how do we put money in the pockets of the youth. The government has been playing a lot of ping pong with the youth when it comes to economic issues. We had the youth fund. Then there's a proposal to merge youth fund with other funds. We have the Ashara fund coming up as a proposal. It was found to be unconstitutional. Then they went back to square one again. How do we ensure that we have a fund that the youth can access to be able to, be able to support the initiatives? So now the Ashara fund is coming up again, and but it's not very clear how that will work out, because the last time that happened, it was like a charade. It's like we are put in a rocking chair. You're just moving, but there's no progress you're making. You're moving, yes, but hakuna kitu inaendelea. And that is one area that we need to really focus on, because as long as the youth don't have money, the challenges that bedevil this country will still remain. 2022 is an election year. So you can imagine how many young people we have and they are idle. That is a recipe for disaster. So that's one of the areas that, even though we're talking about governance, economics is very key. I know the BBI has proposals, some which are very good in terms of putting money in the pockets of the youth. But we all know from the judgments, I doubt whether that BBI is going anywhere. So we need to already start thinking of what's next. Because if we do not address the economic question, amongst the youth, then I don't see how the governance bit that we want the youth to be involved in governance issues will come up. Because even the issues of public participation, a lot of people, especially youth at the grassroots, those who end up attending this public participation events, they do it because sometimes there is some allowance that is given. So when public participation is seen as tokenism, then we can not really have meaningful participation of youth in governance. We need youth who go to participate in such events because they have issues that they want to propagate. But if they feel that because so and so has facilitated us to attend this meeting, then it's not the agenda that they will put out there. It will be other people's agenda. So governance and putting money in the hands of the youth is very, very important. Lastly, I wanted to also weigh in on the issue of the National Youth Council. When it was formulated, just the way Benson has said, it was supposed to be this, it was like our broker towards dealing with government. Yeah, it was supposed to be airing the issues of the youth and engaging the government on issues that affect the youth on a daily basis. But we all know what has happened. The new bill has really watered down, because now when we talk of appointing positions, then you lose ownership. How will the youth own these people that will end up at the National Youth Council? So yeah, we need to also look at how do we strengthen as youth serving organizations, how do we lobby to ensure that the National Youth Council, as was originally intended, remains that way. Because without, if we allow what the new bill, the way the National Youth Council has been crafted, then we lose out on the ownership of the council, which I think is very, very important for us. So, but with those few remarks, I want to also once again thank Siasa Place and the National Youth Association for this opportunity. But I think this is a discussion that we still need to carry on. It's a good report. It's a report that we can still improve on to make the voices of the youth matter in this country. So, James, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's appreciate it. Let's admit that. Thank you, Mr. Michael, for sharing with us your insights. I want now to invite Mr. Anthony Bloomer from the Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association to take his 3-5 minutes, and then I'll come to our viewers who are watching us on Zoom, beginning with Emmanuel Okio from Kisumu County. Please prepare. We'll be giving you an opportunity to share with us your thoughts and comments on this report. Mr. Bloomer, please.
Santi, Amjambo. Youth power. Mnaweza kukua siasa kweli? Kama mnatishika hivi na Buluma, ningeleta sasa jeshi yangu yote. Anyway, let me start by saying I'm very delighted to be part of this launch. As correctly mentioned, my name is Buluma Anthony Samba. Nowadays, I'm very particular about how I introduce my names, because I'll be a candidate in the next election, and I want to rehearse. So, if you are coming from somewhere in Western, just to just hear Buluma Anthony Samba, but that is not important for today. I am here, first of all, in my capacity as a young Kenyan. Secondly, as the CEO of the Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association. Thirdly, as a comrade. Fourthly, as part and parcel of the people in this youth struggle. It's a journey that I see many of us who are here tumetembea now, tukijaribu to make it possible for those who will come after us, so that the challenges we are talking about cannot, again, be the same challenges they inherit. my desire would be let them deal with other challenges other than some of the discussions that we're having here. And for that reason, I really want to join those who've spoken in congratulating Siasa Place and the National Youth Bunge Association. At least for Siasa Place, we've interacted in very many forums, and many of them are actually known to me personally because of our journey in this space of young people. And I really commend the work that has been put on this particular document. It is not any other report that I've interacted with, because it gives what I call a historical perspective to this conversation. Because I'm one person who believes that your past must be your wisdom. And if we are not able to base our submissions on some past, then what are we trying to say? And I think I want to commend the people who are behind this document, because they have acknowledged that wise wisdom part of it, because they have given an account of Kenya from independence all the way up to where we are. And I think as young people, those things must be appreciated. Secondly, they say that once you've known your past, you begin to interrogate the present, because the present is what we have as our weapon. And that is what we must make use of. We have our age as a weapon. On top of our age, we have the numbers as a weapon. And we have ourselves who have been educated and have an idea of what the situation looks like. And then once we've pondered over the present, the next step, and probably that's what I'll be trying to address, is to begin to define the future. And in this particular case, the future is our purpose. What is it that we want to achieve? And how are we going to achieve it? Because one of the major challenges, I think, that has not been captured in that document is that as young people, we have been associated with the lamentation, which is really not a very cool place to be. And despite the fact that we control the numbers, we have the advantage of age, we have so many other factors that work for us as opposed to those that work against us, but we rarely maximize on these factors. And I think I want to make my submission on behalf of KYPA centered around how best we can be able to use our present to define the purpose that we are anticipating this document. A lot of issues have been cited in the report in terms of recommendations, and I really identify with most of those issues because in Parliament, some of the concerns that keep popping up are more or less the same things. So I can tell you for sure work was done on this document. I don't think ni mtu tu alipita kwa barabara kama mtu mwingine nilisikia alipata ile pesa ya KEMSA. Alikuwa anapita kaitwa akaambiwa ni ati kuna tenda hapa. Hii imepita above hiyo. So Nerima and your team, well done. Angalau mkupitia tu hapo Parliament tukawaambia hizi ndio issues mtakuja mlaunch. Alafu tutakuja tuzi-identify. So we cannot take it for granted, and that is why from the onset we will give an undertaking, and I'm happy that Honorable Gideon Keteru will also be joining us virtually to also emphasize on this undertaking that we are going to give. One, a lot has been cited in terms of AGPO implementation and the challenges related. I want to report to this meeting that AGPO was our baby from the last Parliament. And those of you who know where AGPO came from, it was not entirely a new concept because from Kibaki's regime, they had introduced the concept of procurement, but at 10%. So when President Uhuru was elected, they gave a similar political commitment that as a government, they are going to allocate 30%, an increment from the 10% that Kibaki used to give. And based on that, we thought, okay, fine, today, we probably enjoy a cordial relationship with government as at that time. But what happens when maybe Sakaja is no longer the chair of TNA, like he's not there today? What will happen? And that is what led us to now enacting the AGPO law. And apart from just enacting it, we created clauses that require regular reporting to Parliament, particularly the relevant committee in Parliament in respect to the implementation of AGPO. And over and beyond that, we went on and pleaded or negotiated for young people to actually go for a summit in State House to just discuss what are some of the challenges facing the implementation of AGPO. And I'm giving all these accounts so that you know where we are. Maybe that spirit has not been captured in the report, but that is the reality. So from State House, And it was very embarrassing, by the way, if I was to tell you, because what happened is that, you know, we had at that time Sakaja alikuwa anaelewana sana na president, and they still do. So he advised the president, if you come here, these people will lie and pretend. So you stay in your office and watch us discuss this issue. So you can imagine you have a summit for young people in State House. You have different government departments represented in that summit. And I'm talking about registrar of societies. I'm talking about responsible persons and the Ministry of Treasury. All those key stakeholders, including the Attorney General and DPPs, and everybody was there. So the discussion started. And the question that was begging was, where is the challenge? When it comes to registration, why are young people frustrated? So this person comes, he says, okay, I'm not exactly the problem, but Omulo is. Because, you know, his department is the one who's supposed to do with this. Then Omulo is, when you're thrown under the bus, you say, it is not actually me, go to KRA. So that was the game that was being played. And imagine the head of state is watching all this. So ultimately, he just shows up. It's a surprise. And everybody is shocked. Okay. And he went straight to the podium and he said, let me now address this. He said, okay, guys, can we just be serious for a day? You can't just be playing this type of games. You're one government. You, Felix, you're saying the problem is Nerima. Nerima is pointing Buluma. So what are we speaking from different governments? And that is the frustration that we have. And he gave a commitment that in the event a list of shame is released, naming the agencies within government that are not complying with ACT. He gave a political commitment and a government undertaking. Somebody should be home by today. So I don't know why we're still struggling with the implementation of ACT. I think now it's upon us as young people to take it upon ourselves and take it up as our issue. And the only way to do it is simple. Let us mobilize ourselves in our spaces. Let's collect information of where young people are being frustrated insofar as implementation of ACT is concerned. Let's create our own list of shame. I am telling you, you have the political goodwill that I give today on behalf of KYPA, and you will have government responding. Then we make it a public event. The next report we should be launching should be a list of shame and asking ourselves, why is it that these specific government departments are not complying with a law? It's no longer a government directive, it's a law, it's a requirement. It's not even a favor that you're doing to young people. So my challenge, Nerima, to this team is the first one on the implementation. Let's have the list of shame. From KIP's point of view, we will take it up and channel it through our platform in Parliament. But most importantly, what is played outside Parliament will be more critical because we want to create that public political pressure. And I think we have representation here in terms of the political formations that are here. ODM is here, Musungu akionekana pale, Wiper is here. You know, that is the country speaking, you know. That's easy position, you've earned that position. So you speak as leaders. So that is one of the challenges I will pose. Na nimeona rafiki yangu Bolo pale, si kama hiyo kidole tunatikisha na tuseme hii maneno iende hivi. Thank you. On NYC, somebody raised issues about budget and whatnot. I've been reaching out to them. Nawaambia, we are their allies in Parliament. You know, Parliament nowadays has the budget appropriation role. They either come and reach out and say, these are the challenges, what strategies do we employ? Because see, budget making requires a lot of lobbying. Ministries do this, other government agencies do this, but me, I'm yet to meet NYC reaching out to say, we have a challenge here, let's work together on how best to raise a budget. Because we have membership in budget committee, we could be able to sneak in one or two proposals and just see how we can be able to influence. So on that one, I would honestly say the ball is on the NYC court because I know they have to channel through their mother ministry. But again, if they're creative enough, there are avenues they can use and still attract funding that they need. Mentorship structure, I am happy that some of the beneficiaries of this structure are here. Last year, during COVID, we launched what we call the youth assemblies. For us, we are looking at it as a mentorship platform for young people to gain parliamentary experience. And we are escalating it even further. Maybe starting July, you'll see us now launch it in a bigger fashion, taking it to counties and having a conversation amongst young people. And this will be driven by both the young parliamentarians and the youth from political party youth leagues. as we've started, I promised and we still stand. We are not stopping at anything short of victory. On the Universities Act, it's a challenge. Again, this one is an interesting one. You know, the amendment of the Act, and I remember one of the forums we hosted for student leaders, prompted by my good Secretary General, Bob, because Honorable Sabina, I think, in one of the forums, and at that time, last parliament, she was the chair of education. So she was telling us, in just on a very easy note, that one of the reasons why they did an amendment to the Universities Act, as at that time, was to ensure Babu does not run again. Because at that time, he was consistently running, winning, and becoming probably a pain in the ass for government. So the University Act was amended because of that. But in this particular parliament, we've been struggling, just trying to, and there's a lot of back and forth around it, just amending it to take it back to what we used to have, you know, the popular initiative in universities. And that's the attitude of many student leaders. So I'm hoping that we will be able to make progress. Again, I just wanted to point out that somebody asked, and that was a very good question, and I think he's a good friend from Power. What is the place for youth as we approach the next election? My answer is, Felix, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, the place for youth would be at the ballot paper. My take. The reason why I'm saying, you see, if we are not on the negotiating table, we will forever be on the menu. We need more and more allies. Why don't we get into a space where we make those decisions? So that now, those who come, we can identify with their issues and actually become their allies, either in county assemblies or national parliament. And for us to be able to support the young people who will be coming out to contest politically, as KYP, we will be helping you to actually develop a manifesto for your campaign, and most importantly, market yourself to the voters. We might not necessarily give you a track and some money, but I think that in itself gives you some boost to be able to meaningfully engage, because we want more young people in parliament. Again, as I conclude, I just want to invite the institutions that are here, and even as we move towards launching this report, Nerima, I think KYMCA, Kenya Young Members of County Assemblies, must be our ally, because we have presence as young people in county assemblies. And these people mean well. KYPA, we are lucky or privileged to have been the ones to give birth to Kenya Young Members of County Assemblies. And the reason was to cascade whatever we are doing at the national for it to have presence in counties. As we speak today, somebody talked about the county youth policies. A lot of that work is being driven by most of these young members of county assemblies. And most of you are not aware. They are your allies in county assemblies, and they are willing to partner. And not just partner, but ensure that they deliver for the young people. All we just need to do is find avenues for partnership, even especially as we talk about implementation of this particular document. Because Nerima, the issues raised by those young people are pertinent, and you can actually see, the face of youth in those conversations. And I think it will be unfair for us to launch it, then you give it to me, I go and put it in our shelves, and then wait for maybe another forum, another group will again launch. I would rather see we implement this so that whoever is launching, let them launch a new report that, addresses new challenges. Otherwise, from my end, it's just to remind us, as I end with this quote, that is my favorite. Albert Einstein, in one of his many remarks, pointed out that the significant problems we face cannot and will never be sorted by the same thinking that caused that problem. We have a thinking that we must deal with as young people, and that thinking is the thinking of, until government comes to you, you will not do it. But we can reverse this and say, we are government, so let's take this to the next level. Thank you, and have a very successful launch. And once again, to appreciate to our Siasa and national group.
The presence of Nerima. I know she'll get an opportunity to speak later. Grace and the team who have been working on the background, we want now to launch the report. Yes. Say 1, 2, 3. I think. And then we'll listen to some of the youth leaders who are joining us online to give us their sentiments about the report. But ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, and officially we launch the State of the Youth Governance Report. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And there is the State of the Youth Governance Report done by Siasa Place and the National Youth Bunge Association. Thank you. Thank you. Asante. Nasikia kuna watu wako na sauti nzuri hapa, tutawapeleka studio. Now, I want us to listen or speak to one of the youth leaders from Kisumu County. I can also see Mheshimiwa Keter has joined us in this meeting, and we'll be listening to him later on. But right about now, if we have Emmanuel Opio from Kisumu County. Emmanuel, if you can hear me. We have over
yes.
Okay, there he is. Emmanuel, good morning and thank you for joining us for this meeting. Maybe you could begin by introducing yourself to these amazing people who are watching you and listening to you this morning.
Oh, okay. So I am called Emmanuel Opio, an Imara fellow. I'll also share sentiments with some of the fellow panelists who are also there. I'll be vying in the upcoming general elections, 2022, for a seat. And I'm hoping that the changes that we are talking about today are able to be seen in the foreseeable future. I think one highlight I had when I was looking at the report was on the issue of elective politics and party politics. One of us just spoke about young people being on the menu. Indeed, young people are on the menu because we are not at the level where we discuss issues that affect our country nationally. We may be discussing them at a county level and regional levels, but when it comes to the national platform, we are left out. So for me, that is a highlight. And I'm happy we also have the Directorate for Youth, ODM, with us here. We need to have more decision-making power so as to allow the party to also understand the issues that we are facing. And that is not only for ODM, but also WIPA and the various big parties that are there. So for me, the issue of elective politics is key because young people for a long time have not been involved. So we need to be very intentional on how we want young people to sit within these parties. The issue of structures within the parties is also very, very important. Having structures within the party then will allow young people to discuss with the different hierarchical structures that are within the party and shape decisions that then will help young people participate. One big example, when we were looking at the BBI, the issue of young people being involved in elective politics was discussed. And the issue of setting the bar at the degree level for young people, to me, I thought was very discriminatory, because there are then other young people doing other professional courses that then left out of the process of getting elected into politics. The other highlight I had for the report, and I think this was also highlighted in the report, just to add a few sentiments on it, was the issue of unemployment and unequal opportunities for young people, especially in the different sectors. For instance, sports, young people running the different hubs, innovative hubs, young people running creative hubs within the different regions. Where do we support them? How do they then plug into the different corporations, parastatals that are then based within the different regions? The other thing is, how do we plug in young people in agriculture? How do we plug in young people in industrialization? How do we plug in young people in research and sports? Because then, if you're not able to plug in young people into these different sectors, then we lose a huge chunk of young people to these various opportunities. So for me, let me just appreciate first Siasa Place and National Youth Bunge for pushing to have this report, because this report then highlights a lot of the issues that were left out even within the BBI. Yes, thank you so much, Grayson.
Manuel, before I let you go,
yes.
maybe my question to you, you have looked
yes.
at the report and you have interacted with it. Maybe what practical steps have you done yourself as a youth leader in Kisumu County to try and address some of the challenges that have been highlighted in this report?
Oh, okay. So in pushing for, because this is a very good report, very easy to understand, very easy to implement. There are even strategies to implement it. So the number of offices that we reached out to, the County Assembly of Kisumu, to be specific, the clerk. We also reached out to Sally Okudo, the MCA for Seme East, and talked about the issues affecting young people and how we would want the youth policy to be implemented, why there's a drag in implementing it. We also discussed the issue of elective politics. How do we ensure that young people participate more in the issues of governance within the county? We also had a discussion with the Director for Public Participation. We engaged the Director for Youth Affairs. We also took part in engaging the Regional Coordinator for IBC to just allow him to understand what the report is all about. And I'm hoping that out of these discussions, we're able then to push the youth agenda forward. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Emmanuel, and thank you for making time to speak to us this morning. We'll be coming back to you later on. Asante sana.
Asante.
To invite a few members who have been want to invite a few members who have been part of this process, who are in this meeting here today. And I will ask my colleague Grace to move the mic around. They'll get 2-3 minutes to share their comments about the report, and also to tell us where they are as leaders of different political parties in as far as implementing these issues are concerned. I believe we'll begin with Mr. Mike Wisa from Kenya. Karibu, sir.
Thank you very much. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mike Wisa from Kenya. First of all, I'd like to thank each one of us, all the stakeholders, our leaders in the various government departments who joined us to work together towards coming up with this report. I also want to thank Siasa Place for this platform to engage, bringing the very many youths from different political parties to work together on the issues that are affecting us with the intention, with a clear intention of having many youth getting elective office in order to represent the masses come 2025 years beyond. What I'm particularly happy about is that I'm very impressed by this report. I think CSR has left no stone unturned in terms of what has been presented to them. They've done a very professional work. I think they have the interest of the youth of this country at heart. And particularly, I'm happy about the advocacy plan, especially on the issue which even our colleague, I think it was Michael from Kisumu, who joined us online, has talked about. What I'm most passionate about in this report for me is the place of the youth who intends to run in 2022. We do have very many youth who are in other political, in other professional spheres of life. And I'm very specific. For me, I believe in this case, I'm speaking about the youth. I'm talking about the youth who work in the aviation sector in this country. Those are the youth who will be most affected, apart from even those, besides those who are serving in even other spheres, say those who are in the technical departments within our, say, the Kenya Electricity Company and whatnot. They should not be left out come 2022 because somebody somewhere sat with a very short sight, failed to see the issues for what they are, and made a law just to suit themselves. So I think as young people, on behalf of the young people that I represent in my party called Kenya, I'm very happy with this report. And I'd like to thank CSR Plus and look forward to the next stage of implementation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's appreciate him. Thank you. Next, I would like to invite Ms. Rosa from NAC Kenya also to speak on behalf of the young people that she leads. Karibu sana.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good to see you all again. Let me start by saying that I've been part of the process making of this report, and it has been a beautiful, beautiful journey. I am happy that this report was able to capture the youth agenda, the real youth agenda, not what we hear every now and then, but the youth agenda. But I'm actually looking forward for the implementation process in our various political parties. But this would not have been able without the help of organizations and stakeholders who are there. I would like to thank CSR Plus for starting this and ending it well. Thank you very much. Thank you for putting us together. Thank you for what you've done with us. And I look forward to the implementation.
All right, let's appreciate our Moja. Next. Yes, from the Labour Party of Kenya. Correct.
Good morning, everyone.
Just put it close.
Good morning once again. I want to confirm in this room that we participated, our colleagues in the processes that brought about this particular document. And I want to be crystal clear that whatever we discussed is what has been captured, especially in the 4th chapter, the advocacy plan. And I want to thank CSR Plus for finding time to involve us, youth leaders in political parties, and every one of us here. I want to say that going forward, we want to see these particular advocacy plans being discussed at higher levels. Otherwise, I'm pledging my support to this particular report because whatever personally I contributed, what colleagues did, is actually captured. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jafet, from the Labour Party of Kenya. Next, I would like to invite Felix from the party also to give his remarks.
So, good morning, everyone. My name is Felix Mambo from Wiper, and I wish to thank Siasa Place and other stakeholders who have been able to engage all of us to consult and come up with this report. I must appreciate and mention that, yes, I was part of this journey. And I wish to mention this now that Rima is here, because I kept asking where she is while at Kisumu. And just as a icebreaker, I remember with Mike and other colleagues from Kanu on our way to Kisumu, saying that as opposed to what Buruma said, that youth are associated with lamentations and complaints. I remember saying to my friend Kisa that hata kama hakuna allowance, as long as this beautiful process is associated with our youth, our fellow youth, tutaenda Kisumu nataka ni bure, and we must take part of this. So I think that should be the attitude when we are taking such kind of processes. Those who are at Kisumu, you remember this term, militarization. So it must be provoked. And I must say, on behalf of Wiper, everything that we discussed, and if you're keen, my opinions and my views, because I think I was the only camper in that meeting, you can be able to identify from that report. So what they raised, what they shared is visible in that report. As I conclude, there's something Bruno said, I don't know if I captured it. And I must say, because I think with my interaction with Buruma, now that he mentioned it be part of the coming politics, I think he'll make a very good legislator. So youth tunasemekana sisi tutakuwa tuko part of the menu because we are always lamenting. How about we change our attitude and perception and how we look at things? So that's my submission, and thanks, congratulations to Siasa Place and other stakeholders for having this. Najua from the mentorship project tulikuwa nayo ya Siasa Place, nilifukuzwa kwa meeting kwa sijazoea kuvaa suti, so I'm meeting used because 2022 niko ndani na so ndio na basi niliona hata ukitoa itaanza kuimprove. Asante.
Let's appreciate it. Next, let's have a group from Kanu.
Good morning, everybody. Hey, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I was about to wonder, am I looking at ghosts? Because you're so quiet. I think first and foremost, mine is to really thank Nerima and the team from Siasa Place for not just conducting the research, but actually involving political parties. It is not easy to organize young people. And putting this research together might have had the challenges here and there, but the actual job now begins in implementation. And I think for us as Kanu, we are very ready to participate. We are very ready to do whatever it takes. We are very, very pro youth inclusion in governance, and we've done forums before. And so we would like to see how can we merge our forums with this report to ensure that it is disseminated down to the counties or the grassroots level, that is. I think another thing I would like to just mention is throughout this process of putting together this report, there are certain things that we realized we had overlooked or we thought we knew about, certain aspects of social media, and then we realized there's a bit more to it. So it's also been very, very, it's given us new insights, and as a party that is very, very, very pro-BBI, I think this report is going to help us to know how do we counter some of the things that people might not like, and how do we share and reiterate on some of the things that they like, because both are captured in this report. So overall, what I'm saying is that as Kanu, we are happy to be part of this process. We are ready to take it to the next level. We are ready to be part of anything that involves this report. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good. Tumpigie makofi yake moja. Okay. I want us to move online and see if we can speak or have a chat with Honorable Keter. So my guys at the back, we can have Mheshimiwa Gideon Keter. I'm sure he's on this call.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes, Mheshimiwa, good morning and thank you for making time to speak to us this morning. I hope you have interacted. Before I go into the report, maybe let me give you a chance to say hi to us and then I will pose my questions to you. Mheshimiwa, please unmute your video.
So that you can see me, eh?
Yes,
okay.
Please, unless you are... Najua watu wanafanyaga Zoom calls wakiwa places funny.
Okay. I'm getting to that Zoom. There we go. Started.
Okay, thank you. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
To Salimia, and then I'll pose my questions to you.
Greetings to all of you. I've seen many of my friends. We've worked together in this journey for a long time. And I think there are many other new people in this space. So my name is Gideon Keter. I'm the youth leader, Jubilee Party, and also the member of parliament representing youth.
Your friend Benson is asking Jubilee A or B, but you can answer that later. Mheshimiwa, in this report, one of the things that has been highlighted is the issue of access to government procurement opportunities, commonly known as AGPO. Okay. And your CEO spoke earlier and he spoke to the issue of AGPO. My question to you would be...
Which CEO?
Buluma Anthony Samba.
Okay.
Okay, yes. So my question to you on AGPO is, what do you feel as a member of parliament needs to be done to ensure that there is implementation of the access to government procurement opportunities that is allocated 30% to young people and persons living with disability and women?
I know where the failure started. It started in Treasury. There was a secretariat that was supposed to be constituted like an authority that will be in charge of monitoring the progress, both the national, county, and the executive on this implementation. But that secretariat has never been established. And that is generally one of the many things that affect the progress or the development of a young person in our country. You find we give directive in law, but during the execution, it becomes a problem. I even tried to establish an authority on the same, but that time I met with some few other challenges related to what the executive really need. That challenge you can also see by the push by the executive also want to undo the Uwezo Fund, the youth fund into a Biashara fund. And that entire stretch is actually something that is hindering mastery of youth development process or understanding how the government works. So this habit of changing issues one after the other has been the biggest hindrance to any young person trying to absorb what the government is giving. So the AGPO, the access to those opportunities, you've only find those who really tried, those who we can call they really tried, is you find it is the universities. But the county assembly, the executive, and any other institution, parastatals, they didn't try, except Kura. Kenya Roads, Kura is Kenya Urban Roads Authority. The Director General Kinoti has really tried. So if you compare with other parastatal, he's the only one who has tried to see that these opportunities that goes to the youth. But other parastatals, no. It is due to the failure to enact that secretariat.
Thank you. And then still on the question of AGPO, there are comments or there are concerns that some people are using young people as proxies to get these opportunities. And at the end of the day, these resources don't get to the actual people who should be benefiting from this. From where you sit, what do you think needs to be done to curb this problem? Because it's there even in county governments, in government parastatals, in other institutions and everywhere, that a company would be presented as a youthful company, but the people working behind the scenes are not young people.
Actually, that is true, sadly. Because sometimes you find even us fellow young people, we accept to be used. We accept to be used, and if you hear also those reasons, they are not justifiable, but they can be justifiable or not justifiable. But bottom line is, if we continue, that is why what Siasa Place is doing a very good job in trying to consistently advocate for what we should stand for. I know sometimes we are pressed to the corner, like even us in Bunge, even Benson Muzungu can tell, and my friend from ODM also can tell, the Ketora, I've seen you. You can tell the pressures sometimes that can come to us young people, even in leadership, leave alone the ordinary youth. The pressure is too high, but we just need to hold on and do what is right, and be known by what we can stand for. But some of the youth betray fellow other youths, and that is a major problem. So in this business, or in this sector, in this constituent, we have the different categories of youth, and that is what we and youth organization like this should advocate, teach through the civic, and then we will be able to manage. We might not be able to completely do away with the betrayers. Even in the Bible, there were betrayers, but we can manage.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. And then I want us to move to the next thing, which is about public participation, and it has come out clearly in this report. And one of the constraints to public participation has been on resources. From where you sit, what do you think needs to be done or can be done to increase resources allocated to public participation at the national level and even at the county level?
The concept of public participation did not foresee future challenges or future trends that will come with. It is true, we need to do public participation, but the mode in which we do is a mode we need to change, because what we have done in the past has never been beneficial. And the reason as to why it has never been beneficial is because the professional who needs to contribute to this public participation, normally we don't find them. The only people, those who are the people who are found in most of these functions have different categories as well. Many of them want to be there because they want something to eat. And then the professionals are in the offices, and they do not pay keen attention of what is happening in our country. And they are the key people who have the knowledge and the experience on how we need to do our things as a country. We live things, we produce things with our Kenyan characteristics. So in issue of funding, I won't say funding is a problem. I'll say the mode in which we collect this information is a problem. I even tried, I experienced the same thing. I even tried to introduce public participation app in Parliament. I actually called even for young people, the ICT, the expert, to come and develop an app whereby if the proceedings of Parliament can be posted online, and then we have a back-end team that when you have a comment or submission you have to make, you share. So that if there is a question a member is asking in Parliament, and you share and it is posted, you can easily contribute, even if you are a public. And then the people from the back end can easily approve, because we can't miss one or two Kenyans who will leave abusive comments there. So the purpose of the back end committee is to ensure that whatever it is filtered. So that whole process could be a way in which that is going to address such kind of issues, like now this issue of public participation. If you are in Kisumu and you want to contribute on something that is of your interest, and maybe you have gone through the same problem, you can easily post there. So there are many other suggestions we have tried. That does not mean that if I try today and I was not successful, someone else shouldn't try. Someone should run. Even Siasa Place, you can run with this idea. I know Mzalendo has really tried as well, but we really need an app. whereby if the clerk has posted something in Bunge, you can participate wherever you are and leave a comment. It will be a permanent print, and nobody can refuse to adopt a good idea.
Thank you. Mheshimiwa, still on public participation, there is a bill that is before the Senate. I believe you are aware of that, that targets or aims rather to streamline how public participation is done. What are your thoughts on that bill, and where is it as of now? And do you think there is something that we can do as young players to ensure that this bill is enacted by the Senate?
What I will just tell this congregation of young people is this bill is good. It is trying to adopt a new way of dealing with this public participation, but still, it would not be able to accommodate all ideas. But what we can do, if each and every one of us should look at that bill. I've also looked at it, and I am preparing my submission. I know there is another big challenge as well in legislation, the delay in which or the time frame we will expect this bill to pass. It will take long time. We just hope it will be prioritized. The only thing I can do as me to support the team as well and the research is to ensure that I participate in pushing for that bill to be fast-tracked. Even if it is in the Senate, we can just lobby.
Okay, Sante. Mheshimiwa, my last question to you is on the bills that we've been pushing in the National Assembly as a representative of young people. One of them is the University Act that talks about elections, if I'm not wrong. And then also there was the NYC Act, the amendments bill that we pushed in 2019, if I'm not wrong again. And then what do you feel is the challenge that you face yourself as a member of the National Assembly in pushing through this legislation?
There are so many challenges. One, being the only member of parliament representing youth with let's say 5 bills right now. National Youth Council have gone through the 3rd reading. It went to the Senate. Then there was this discussion of there was a difference between the Senate and National Assembly. Then the issue that was taken to court, it has slowed down the signing of that bill. Then there is Employment Amendment Bill, where it removes the excessive red tapes around legislation and unnecessary expenses before job seekers secure meaningful employment. I know many of you are aware of that. And then there's higher education, the bill which tried to introduce changes regarding the rate of interest and tax holiday over around 5 years. And then the Central Amendment Act, which also tried to cure many companies list you or list people with just by simply you've borrowed 200 shillings or 300 shillings, they list you in CRB, and they themselves are not actually recognized anywhere in our constitution or in any regulation. And then there's also Youth Justice Act, which is a baby, which tries to cure the injustices around individuals or young people or young males or young youth within the age of 12 to 21 or 24 get in trouble with the law. For example, the Sexual Offences Act that posed a very serious problem when passing judgment on juveniles. The male individuals are normally treated different from the female one, raising a concern of this discrimination and the rest. And then, so with all this in place, you will look at, I need to queue in a line of 350 members of parliament, because there's no priority. The only government bills are the ones that are being prioritized because of the leadership of the House. But if you have to queue, it takes time. Another thing, the time for debate for private member bills is very limited. It's only happening in once a week and certain time, and the time frame, it really takes a lot of time. Stages in which it takes for a bill to be completed. It takes so many stages, so many. Before you get to public participation and the rest and drafting of the report, it takes a lot of time. And I think those are the major. But ideas are there, the progress is there, and that is the only challenge.
Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa. As I let you go, your final comment or thoughts, and actually what out there to young people watching you on this, as we're having this conversation, even as we head into elections, what would it be?
As we head to elections, I will just highlight a few things. I have seen most of the youth leaders in different political parties are my friends. And what I'm going to share, definitely they have shared with you. And you just need to localize your politics. As youth, we don't identify ourselves by your tribe. We don't identify ourselves by where you come from. We identify ourselves with the issues. So let us be issue-based young people, even when we debate online. Let us agree that we are not going to participate in the differences of the elders. Elders have had their time. And by design, you can see elders have designed the political participation not to be favorable to the young people. And this struggle, it has not started yesterday. It has started a long time ago. The only difference is, what are we doing now? What I will just simply suggest is show up in this arena. All those young people who have the ambition and have the vision to lead, show up. Just save a little bit and then show up. And also be aware the challenges that comes with you showing up. And if you're aware of those things, you need to change the tactic. I think what I'll just tell you is tactics. You either find a way or make way. And when I mean tactic, is doing what you can with what you have. Tactics are those concisely deliberate acts by which you live with each and deal with in the world you around you. So if we change tact, for example, I was in my tact, let me give you, I was elected in URP as a United Republic, you know URP. I was a youth leader in URP. Then there was a shift. Then there was a quick shift of forming Jubilee. Now we had to merge Jubilee, that is URP, TNA, and other 12 parties. And when the merger happens, if I was not tactful, I wouldn't be the youth leader in Jubilee Party. We were 12 youth leaders from different political parties. And we had to do what we have to do to advocate for the youth issues, even in the new party. And let me tell you, everywhere you go, never think because your party leader is a party leader, doesn't have issues or doesn't have weaknesses. I have sat with these elders and I can tell you, viongozi wenye wamekata 3 or 4 times in bunge, I can tell you there's no difference between them and this group we are having here. In the next 10 to 20 years, maybe even 90% of you will be in parliament by only deciding today what you need to do and change tact, depending on the party you come from, the location you're coming from. Power is not only what you have, but what the people around you think you have. What do they think the youth in your party have? That is why it is evident. If your party does not recognize that youth here can provide leadership in this sector, leave it. Look for a sector that they will identify you that you are good in. Because you are not able to, let's say you don't have financial muscle. But when it comes to organizing the party events, party things, writing documents, being the executive of the party, do that. I tell you, it will get to a point your tact is needed even when you're not there. They will even make time for you. They even if you're in Mombasa, they will pay for your flight because they know we cannot do this thing without you. So when you grow professionally from your corner, that is also a tact, and you can survive in that way. Number 2, never go outside the experience of your party. Like in ODM, for example, never go experience outside, the party leader. If he tells you do this, you have to do this. Yeah, I'm trying to tell you that in each political party, it has its own tradition. Never go outside the experience of the people within the party. Another rule, wherever possible, go outside of the experience of the other party, not now the experience of your own. I mean, sometimes you will hear, wacha tutoe press conference tulime ile, ama tupinge ile, ama tukataa ile. So you need to be timely so that you may speak to the issues of the party, understanding of the party in a tactful way. When you do that, you will be respected and be known that you are valuable in this way. Another way, if you are in the party, definitely once in a while, me, when I was vying or when I made it to the neck of the party in one of the parties, some senior member could see that this young man has potential. Then he decided to write down, and I have shared this before, and he said, if you find him competent, reduce him, frustrate him to be idle. Never get to a corner where you are idle. I am telling you, never get to a corner you are idle as a young person. Whether you are going for a seat, I just came in when my friend from Kisumu was speaking, that he is speaking to, he does a lot in Kisumu on youth issues, youth leadership. I will identify with him, not because he will be vying in a different party, but by the issues he's going to champion. Because let me tell you, there's no enemies in this sector. We will be friends. Sometimes I see a young person trying to do something and I pity with them, because sometimes you need experience. You need experience. I don't know if I'm speaking, but as I conclude, a good tactic is that one the people in your party enjoy. So you really need to get that one. Okay? And then do not drag a tactic for too long. For example, if you do something, if you have to picket, do not picket for too long. And you need to protect and be the sources of good policies within your party. I can tell you, you see the policies that you see in Jubilee, we contributed through backdoor. Tunaandika memo hata kama hatuna, initially we didn't even have an office. Within that tall building, we didn't have an office. We struggled for almost 3 or 4 months for us to get an office. And by the time they approved that Youth League should have an office here, it had taken a lot of time for us to get there because of the kind of policies and suggestions we were suggesting. Because when they go to a meeting, they only remember, the youth had suggested this, and then everybody unanimously accept. Finally, as youth, we are threats to the seniors. Na nyinyi mnajua. Even when you're too good, sometimes even in your constituency, you tend to find someone analipa mutu, anakulima kona hii, unalipa hii kona hii, analipa, and I've exchanged ideas with many of you. Sometimes you come to me and like, we had this idea, but it got here, ikakatazwa, because you terrify the system within your line. So what you just need to do is ensure whatever you do, you don't step on wrong people in the party. And if you have to share anything, share respectfully. Tusipige kifua tu. We need the elders, and elders need us. And as you say, we are in the menu. We are in the menu. Ni ukweli, we are in the menu. But sometimes you can jump out of the menu. And if you look at the philosophy Sakaja uses, my chair in KYPA, and the philosophy I used to get where I am is completely different. And CEO Buluma, you need to be giving this example when you have a chance, so that you may be able to help different sectors or different profession of youth, wherever they are. I can speak on and on and on and on, but what I can just tell you, we tactful, and you will get to where you are, you want to be. Do not lose the vision. If you have the drive within you, pursue, and do not confuse silence to being a coward. Sometimes you are silent because you are learning few things, or you don't want to find yourself in a wrong corner. Acha itoshe hapo.
Asante sana. Thank you, Mheshimiwa Keter, for finding time to talk to us this morning. And we thank you. I know there are a lot of comments on the online platform, but we'll be going through them in a short while. Right now, I want to invite Mr. Evans from the Youth Serving Organizations Consortium.
you'll excuse me because I'll have to leave. But what I can just tell Siasa, please share with me this this document. I need to read. I need to champion. I need to be one of your champions on what you've suggested there. And if you have any other issue that you think I can handle from my office, you can share.
So, asante, sure, we will share. Thank you so much, Mheshimiwa.
Okay, asante.
Thank you, Evans, please.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Evans Odipo from VSO Kenya, but I'm here courtesy of Youth Serving Organization. Youth Serving Organization is a number of youth groups and youth-led organizations. Okay. YSO Consortium, it's a number of youth groups and youth-led organizations that have come together to unify the voices of young people and towards meaningful engagement of young people. So we represent a number of organizations across the country. Here we are represented by African Youth Trust, Youth Alive Kenya, Power 254, Haki Africa, and other organizations. For me, first, I think we really appreciate Siasa Place and NYBA for this very, very important and timely report. And also, we are delighted to have been involved in this process from the start. I think that is something that as YSO Consortium, we really, really appreciate the involvement and the engagement. At the start, we even presented a positional paper just highlighting some of the issues around youth space that our member organizations had identified. And I think a lot has been said about the report. I can just add that we look forward, because this is not the end, this is just the start. There is implementation. We look forward for Siasa Place, of which again is a member of the YSO Consortium. Please engage and involve the YSO Consortium in implementing this beautiful report. There are a number of things that YSO Consortium can support, including the organizations have a wide range of technical expertise and also resources that can help implement this. Just to mention one, I know there was a point that was mentioned about in the report about cascading the national youth policy to county level. And my colleague here already mentioned that Nairobi County government is working on the Nairobi County youth policy. And I understand some of the members of the consortium are part of the technical working group on that, Purity and myself included. And these are just some of the areas that we can really, really support. Asante sana.
Thank you very much. Let's appreciate him. Mr. Mulo from ANC.
Thank you very much. First and foremost, I want to thank the youth leaders here, our comrades, and also the leadership of Siasa Place and Youth Bunge Association. I have to admit that I used to be Gideon Keter's boss. In I think 3 years so when I was the president of the Youth Parliament, and I left the Youth Parliament and formed the Youth Senate. And I really admire his tactics, because I remember there's a time we met and he told me, Omulo, that the best thing is that you cannot stay in the youth sector for long. You have to be tactical and go and run for a position in a political party. We really celebrate him. And also, I want to, in a special way, also celebrate our friend here, Benson Mzungu, whom I really believe young people really admire. He ran for a seat in Kibra, and having that courage to run in Kibra is not just easy. So we encourage young people to take up these positions and run for a political seat. I've also seen my comrades from One Kenya Alliance, Just wanted to tell you that we're in the house. I've seen our friends from Handshake and other political parties. I'm also the chairperson of Employment Committee in the Youth Assembly, which Bruno was talking about. I've read this report, and as a youth leader in ANC, we've taken the initiative, and we have had meetings to ensure that the report is implemented, is fully implemented. And I just wanted to urge other youth leaders from political parties also to make it upon themselves to ensure that they look and mobilize their members of parliament so that we can have a team of MPs in parliament. Not only one person. One person can initiate the process, but we must have numbers in parliament because we have that influence. So we can lobby them and ensure that this report is in place. Actually, we've had so many reports, but this report is very unique because if you look at the issues that are being addressed in the report, they're very unique and they're very specific. That if we take the initiative upon ourselves, we'll ensure that the report is fully implemented. I have to admit that we have failed young Kenyans. We are not yet there because if you look at how we operate, apart from political parties, actually that's why I entered into politics. Because there are a lot of youth organizations and Benson Mzungu can attest to this. Even NYC itself as an organization has failed to bring these youth organizations together. But there are youth organizations that have stand out to be counted, like CSFs. They're doing a good job. The moment we'll work together, and I thank you very much because now you will call youth leaders in political parties. Because it is only in political parties, if we work together, we can bring these issues to the attention of political parties on the influences of the national politics. So if you look at on the youth leagues in political parties, there are only 4 issues that I wanted to speak to. One is the policy gaps. I've seen Gideon Keter been talking about the bills that is trying to push in parliament, and also there are also other issues, policy that have already been introduced in government, and also even in the private sector. How do we consolidate these policies to ensure that all of them are fully implemented? Can we use our social media platform? Because nowadays we are living in a global people. I've seen nowadays young people are trending things that are not meaningful, like a barambara. The other day is trending, and the young people are trending. You know, if we can, mobilize our numbers, both in political parties and even the youth serving organizations, so that we, like this report, some of the issues we can identify and lobby, develop a hashtag. Let us use our social media platform, the TikToks, but there are a lot of things that nowadays coming out. We need to use those platforms to ensure that we advocate for policies to be implemented. Number 2 is the voice of the youth. Some of us, I want to say that most of those people who are representing us, even the National Assembly, even the county assemblies, are not genuine enough, especially when they're pushing for youth issues. It is high time we be true to ourselves and to ensure that even the National Youth Council, we don't just talk about the NYC, but we need to lobby both physically and socially to ensure that it is operationalized. I think recently I saw the appointment of the Youth Advisory Board. How can we engage the Youth Advisory Board in the National Youth Council to ensure that the national youth policy is fully implemented? Number 3 is the youth participation in politics. Some of the challenges that have been discussed there in the youth leadership in political parties. Sometimes most of the youth leaders here can tell you that if you want to raise issues, all the issues that you have to talk must conform to the party ideology and the party leadership. You cannot go against party leadership. So Narima, we are urging you as political parties that we need to start discussing how we can amend Political Parties Act so that we can have a voice as youth leaders in political parties, whereby we can even challenge our political party leaders. You know, right now, as it stands, you cannot challenge your political party. Otherwise, tomorrow you will not be seen. Otherwise, you'll be beat or removed from your position. So we want to have a democracy where we can, have our voice as a young people in political parties. So we need to study political parties act so that we can have, instead of having youth leagues, we can have youth parties. So that as a youth leader, I can also be a young political party leader, so that I take over from the political party leader. You know, most political party leaders are known. But if I want to be a political party leader here, most of you will just laugh me off and say, oh, you're not serious. But at least we need to change that law so that second, lastly, in the issue of corruption. Corruption has been trying to have to house level. I don't know how we solve the issue of corruption. Because most of our leaders who are being appointed to champion for youth issues are actually corrupt. And even the ACPO, we've been talking about ACPO. If you want to do business with them, you know how it works. First of all, you have to lobby. You have to know someone for you to get that tender. After getting that tender, if you have that estimate, because you have to be paid through ifs. Sometimes there's certain percentage. You know, those people will tell you, we'll give you this percentage, but this percentage is ours for you to get this percentage. So corruption is in this country to the extent that we have not yet reached there where, as a young people, we need to come out and tell off the government. And through press conferences, I don't know whether through picketing. Nowadays, I don't want to go to the street because it is a waste of time. Because today you'll go to the street to picket, you're tear gassed. Tomorrow you're in your house. The news, you'll only see news in TV 47 and those TV. I don't know. You know, corruption is everywhere, even in the media. Today you call media here. After press conference, they ask how much we have for us. And then at the end of the day, you watch news, you only see TV, KBC, and whatever. So sometimes I don't know how we can have a roundtable with media, either media owners or those people, media editors, so that they can take our stand as young people seriously. So those are some of the things I wanted to share with you. And I believe we will work together and we support each other as we move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's appreciate him. I want us to speak or listen to one of the participants who is joining us on Zoom from County 001, that is Mombasa. One Derek Ouko. Yes, I believe we have him. Then from there, I will ask Ken to. A lot of comments, of course, on the online platform. I hope we'll have time to read some of them. Derek? Derek Ogo, if you're still with us. So looks like he's dropped out of the meeting. Okay, I believe we would get another opportunity to hear him out. Right now, I want to invite my colleague Ken briefly to share with us the progress of this report. Thereafter, we'll still try to listen to some of the participants who are on this call, so that was the same as people a chance here. So I want to invite Ken to share with us the progress of this report so far and what we've been able to achieve. Thank you.
So thank you, Greg. And then I need to come in front. So, for those of us in the report that we can page 20. So basically, we have been trying to follow through the advocacy plan, and we have been reaching out to a number of political players. Basically, I would like to ask for more support regarding some of the issues that were identified. But the progress is, you saw Manuel from Kisumu. So Manuel have been able to present his petition to the county assembly. At the county assembly, we are planning a meeting. We are yet to get the date on exactly when to meet the county budget. And our agenda, which they have also probably agreed to implement partially, is to increase money for public participation. So that is responding. But I can see ODM is here. And the chief for youth in ODM is here. And we know how sometimes it's a bit difficult to get hold of politicians. So your presence here, please kindly help us push it to the next level such that we are able to increase money for public participation in Kisumu County and all other counties that are led by ODM. In Mombasa, we have Youth Agenda Kenya. Agenda Kenya picked up the issue of the universities and they are organizing the youth. So I am impressed that youth serving organization, the representative is more than willing to also partner. So I think we just need to put you together and pursue the issue of reviewing that bill so that we make, we develop leaders, we don't kill them. I was told there is a number of students who are I don't know whether they were targeted in the university or how they are out of the university and they can never pursue their education simply because of this law. So it's something that we need to take seriously, and I really appreciate Agenda Kenya for taking up that role, and more interest is coming. So youth serving organization. And I would also like to mention that regarding public participation bill, which is at the Senate, ANC had committed to make some steps towards helping us ensure that the bill is processed. It's stuck somewhere in the Senate. But then we also have ODM. Any other, we have Wiper. Wiper, I don't know if this is the right process, but we would also like to hear what Wiper would like to do. But I will reach out to you so that, because the thing is, if we don't reach out to the political parties, this will join the statistic of all other reports that are in the shelves. So we have to be deliberate. So the steps that we have made in regards to public participation bill is we have reached out to ODM and we had a meeting, and thank you, Mr. Mzungu, for coming. We reached out to ANC and we made commitment. We reached out to KANU. Actually, if there are people who have been following what we do as CSR, you saw us have a meeting with KANU. Yes, was it yesterday? Yes. Yes, yesterday. And what we are trying to do is to ensure that all the players at least take a bigger role, because most of we are outsiders in when it comes to issues of legislation. So we must get people from inside. In terms of creating structure for mentorship, I would like Nerima to speak about it because she's becoming to speak after me. But it's something that Siasa Place, because I remember the last meeting we had, everybody was like, Siasa Place, take it up. And when I tried to talk to Nerima if we can make a deliberate effort, she gladly took it, and we have already started mentoring some of the young people. Probably she'll be able to give mostly organization. So we haven't got to the level where we met political parties, but that is where we are heading to, so that when they come to political parties and stones are thrown, they probably know how to handle it and they don't run away. We have some of the things that probably this meeting, I would like this meeting to take seriously and consider how we need to handle is on the issue of convening national youth convention. I haven't seen anybody take it up. And I don't know. National Youth Serving Organization. Youth Serving Organization. Can we suggest that you take up this role? Because you are not one, you are many organizations, and we can start by organizing one national youth convening where we discuss youth issues. And then on issues of having money into the youth's pocket, and which is so dear to me and most of us, is when you look at the issue, we have been reaching out to individual counties. So Kericho, there is an MC in Kericho who took it up, so he'll be following up. But we also asked ANC and ODM during our meeting. We are yet to discuss with the other parties on specific steps, because at least for ODM and the ANC, we had a different meeting where we were able to discuss that, and we agreed on some steps which probably will be followed up. So I would also like to urge other parties. We have Kenya in the room, and we have Wiper. Which any other party with the majority
For Kenya.
for Kenya? We would like to. I know we were discussing it off the record with some of the players, but we need to now pick it and probably go to the next level. Because the thing is, unless we make deliberate effort to target specific counties, youth are not because we were just trying to get to understand how the 30% works. And in some of the counties, we were told it is 30% and it's working. And they are even willing to produce, but you can't put a hand and say these are the youth who benefited. So some of the youth are bought out. Some of the youth are told, well, letter 2 ID, and then now they are not even signatories to the account, so they don't know what happened. Some of the certificates are bought from youth after you get the actual certification. So these are some of the things that are already happening. So it might be so difficult even for some of the counties to realize what's happening. So change on election act to allow youth without degrees to contest. We have not made any progress. I don't know where to place it. And if there is a party who would be more than willing to pick it up, because, and I'm asking in this on the floor, if there is any party, political party that is, to pick it up Which party? Okay.
I have something to say.
Yes.
Yeah, even as we talk about political party jump, I think we must understand that this is an issue of us versus them. So I'd rather that we take a multi-pronged approach across the parties, because this is an issue that there are a number of political leaders who may be opposed to it for the interest, for their own interest, or rather for the sake of their own political survival. So anything that can put shocks, anything that can slow down the progress of the young people is welcome on that side. So I'd rather, as opposed to, let's make it a collective responsibility.
Thank you. So I agree with you. You know, as a country, we are a country that is known for blaming, and we wanted to give a responsibility to one party so that we say they will give us progress, but all of us will support. But I still agree with you that it's something that it's affect the youth. We need to, all of us need to think about working around it. On the issue of improving capacity of young people.
With regard to the youth having a duty for them to contest, I think going by the numbers of guardians that we are
going by the numbers of guardians that we are having currently in this particular country, I highly doubt we can really lack candidates who have those requirements and can stay around. But looking at now 2022 that is so near, probably the law might cut across. So it might end up being effective because of the timeline that we have. So if we can project it in terms of a long-term objective, so that we look at how it can be reviewed, but in meantime, we work on ensuring that probably the young people who have got the requirements secure that opportunity to run for those positions. Then thereafter, maybe they can be even the same people who can assist us in lobbying for that particular objective.
Thank you. I would not want to go back there because Mr. Moll, let me give you less than 1 minute.
Yes.
Can I speak before I get
I am trying to avoid going into a discussion. We discussed the same matter for 3 hours and we didn't conclude.
And those reactions,
30 seconds so that we proceed, please.
Okay, I just wanted to add on what he has just said. And I was saying, if we are going to go that way, we seriously need to look into representation, because we are a huge number of people in this country, and we are not saying that only youths who are learned will be represented. So we also need to include those who haven't gone to school, but have not really gone to school, but those who haven't joined university or institutions of higher learning, but have the skills and have proven from their communities that they can lead their people. So that's what I wanted to.
Thank you, Omulo. 30 seconds.
I have a solution. One, the only way you can do that, you can suspend this is to put court and obtain court orders. I agree with Lisa. We can work as political parties and then draft a petition so that we have people sign signatures. We go to court, we suspend this and then we move to the next election. We discuss it after those.
So you can see how politicians are smart. They know. Okay. The truth is, we never agreed on that matter. So because majority say it needed to be removed, that cap was to be removed, and that is why it's in the report. But there were a lot of discussion, and I wouldn't want to go back there because people have different views. Before I invite Nerima, I hope Nerima is ready. There is a, and one of the things I'm sorry I didn't prepare her early enough that she talk about it, but one of the things that she'll be talking about is the issue of mentorship, which I think is key. And then as CSRPs and National Youth Movement, we have been trying to reach out so that we implement this report. Kindly come through and let us identify how best we can implement it. Because while we are going to the next election, the issues in the next election are likely to be the same issues in this report. Issues of political participation, issues of youth participation, issues of youth being given few coins to throw stones, to beat people, is the same thing, because otherwise, let me ask, as Nerima comes, let me ask a weird question. How many people, apart from members of political parties, are in political parties here? How many? Only one or two? I'm asking, apart from people who we know, like Umulo and who are in political parties, how many are political party members here? So, okay, the number has increased to 4. Can I tell you something? All the decisions in this country are made by political leaders, either at the county assembly, senate, or national assembly. Okay. I don't have the accurate statistic for county assemblies. If you go to national assembly, we have how many independent candidates? The independent honorable members. Anybody? They're 13%. You go to Senate, 0. So which means the decision of how you will walk, what you will wear, where you will sleep, entirely lies on those institutions where you don't belong. So they make decisions you want to follow. So unless we take politics seriously, we will always remain to cry. Nerima, kindly, you are the next. So as Nerima comes, try and start thinking about joining political parties. I don't know which one, but we can't leave it.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I was telling Ken, he always gives me work and surprises me with work. I've just gotten used to it. It's good to see all of you, especially also those who are joining us online. It's good to see the kind of engagement that we've been having. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Nerima. I'm the director of Siasa Place. You can't hear me. It's slow. Fine. I'm the director of Siasa Place, and I was also a little bit absent because I was on leave during that time, but I was also very involved in the process. So just reading the report for me means a lot, but also gives me sleepless nights
One, because now that we know this information, now that we have this information, what are we going to do with it? Because we cannot be the typical Kenyan of having fabulous reports and then putting them on shelves. We cannot. I just feel we're in a place in our country where, as young people, we cannot continue to be mute. So even today, as we talk about being involved in parties, as we talk about people who are not in parties, outside parties, there was an article in the People Daily today, and it talked about young MPs. The title was, I don't know if you've read it, the title basically said, young MPs, have they brought shame? It was yesterday. So have they brought shame? And it's sad to see that sort of thing, because not all young people can be classed as being lazy, unproductive, and just honestly, young people are always talked about as being a burden. So it's an opportunity for us to come together. And listening, I know Ken has talked about the mentorship. The reason why the mentorship is so important is because even as an organization like Siasa Place to exist, we had to be mentored. And it was not a fun process, extremely difficult. As much as we were being mentored by an international organization, I saw the benefit of it. Being able to lead such an organization, it allowed me to enter rooms and people wonder who is behind you, when really it is us. It's young people. There's no older man who is hiding behind the scenes. There's no older man who is deciding to fund us. There's none. And that can show you that there are entities that are youth-led, youth-run, that can be organized and produce the change that we're talking about here today. So the mentorship comes in terms of, a lot of times when we think about mentors, we think of them as individuals. Myself, I need a mentor, especially in politics or things like that. You're looking at a politician who has been a veteran in politics to be able to assist you in terms of how to maneuver within the political system. But what we're talking about is mentoring groups. How can we mentor youth groups to be able to organize and mobilize and network? That's the difficult part. So a big task for us has been bringing groups together. So we started with YSO, which is civil society organizations. We're now coming into political parties, which is the youth wings. So to listen to you, Omulo, in terms of supporting you, I hear you. That's what we eventually want to do, to be able to support the youth wings within political parties, to be able to lobby for their own issues within the parties and be protected by the law. That is non-existent in this country. And so the only way we're going to be able to see this change is if we come together. But also something that wasn't very highlighted in that report, which I constantly say, we have to realize that the division amongst youth is systemic. It is intentional. So when you're here competing amongst each other, trying to fight for your parties, just know that you are following to what you have been trained to do. Okay? As soon as you realize that the fact that the National Youth Council doesn't work because it's intentional, that even if we have a youth commission, it's not going to work because it's been created not to work. As soon as we come to that reality, then we're going to start be thinking about how can we change that for us? How can we invent a new future for young people? That's why when you go to different counties, the youth office is somewhere else. That's why there's no youth county policy. That's why they're going to take forever to implement it. It's an obstacle. It's been created so that we do not organize. So as long as we go into this with that mentality that it's going to be difficult, because this is nice. Trust me, it's nice. We are going to talk here. By the way, tutakula, there'll be lunch. But then tomorrow what happens? Like, this needs to be a conversation that goes on and on and on, but it's not going to be seen by us. We will leave that youth bracket. It has to be left for those young people who are coming in. And the only way it can be left by those young people is if we have strong institutions. That's the only way. Because as soon as an individual leaves, Benson, talk out here, it might not be as important because of me. We can't have those systems like that. I want to be able to leave Siasa Place, and Siasa Place exists without me. That's how we have to start thinking. We have to get out of our individualness. We have to stop being self-centered, competitive, and understand that there's enough for all of us, more than enough. But what we have is greedy leaders who tell us that it's not enough. So for me, it's been a learning experience, listening to everybody's experiences. I didn't put my hand up when Ken talked about political parties because I can't enter a party because of the seat that I have. Just so that this platform exists so that all parties can feel that they belong here. I want to be able to work with KANU, with ANC, with Ford, with ODM as freely as I can and not be looked at as a betrayer. I want to be looked at as a person who is pushing for youth inclusion everywhere. And those are some of the things that we need to start supporting. So as you've signed up to be involved in something, nobody should leave this room without being involved in something, in one form or the other. Join a campaign. Even if we're talking about doing it after 2022, join one. And at least find ways, because change is extremely slow. And I also want to appreciate those who have joined us online to see how many people engaged from different parts of the country. That shows you how passionate we are. How passionate we are about this, about youth inclusion. And people have taken 3-4 hours to be online, to be able to hear what's happening here and see how can they be able to support and collaborate. So for me, it's an appreciation. And also to say, as much as I am tired, I'm hoping this is the last election I've been involved in. Like I'm tired into other things. But as much as I am tired, it's just to say that I am hopeful. And I hope that some of these things that we're discussing, we will be able to overturn. That's where the power of young people is. I don't think we realize the strength that we have, but now that we have the information, if you sit on that information, you're just like the people who are blocking us. Count yourself as those who are the obstacles to our progress. Don't call yourself a youth champion from today. Don't, because you're betrayed. You have the information. You have it. So now by being lazy about it, stop calling yourself a youth champion, because you're supporting the very system that's oppressing us. All right, thank you. Thanks, guys. I've come with some energy. Thank you. I am supposed to call Chris, but
Yes.
Oh.
Thank you. We have Felix. Felix is from. So let's clap for the Thank you. We have Felix from an organization called Agenda Kenya. We've been working with them. They're from Mombasa County, and I believe he would be able to join us and share his sentiments about this report and the launch that we are having here. Felix Obiero. Felix, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Gray. How are you?
Very fine. Good to see you. Karibu. And
How are you?
maybe just to start this that we are to have with you, what work does your organization involve itself with in Mombasa?
Okay, we organize youths and communities into discussing issues that affect them, either personally or as a community. Yeah.
Okay, and then my next question to you is on the report. I believe you have gone through it. What are some of the key highlights or issues that you've seen from this report? And, sorry?
Okay. Okay. So the report is an issue that I'm hearing you, Gray. What's funny?
Why are people laughing? I'm asking.
Yes, summarized his organization.
Oh, about his organization. Okay, Felix, now to my question. You have looked at the report and you have seen some of the recommendations in that report. What are the key highlights for you and what are you intending to do or what are you doing to tackle some of these issues?
Well, there is an issue about the students, particularly with the student elections and student unions. The way elections are conducted, the pattern of election, and it's an issue that we picked up to run away with as Agenda Kenya. You see, all this has been affected by the Dole bill, the University Amendment Act of 2016, that has tampered well with the student leadership, the union structure, and the way election is done. You see, long time it used to be a universal suffrage, and now it is done through through the legal system. You see, are you able to hear me?
Felix, sorry, can't hear you. I'll come back to you later on, Felix. Thank you for attempting to speak to us. Thank you.
Yeah.
I want us to go through some of the comments that are on the chat box. I know some are asking when we're ending this. We should be finishing in the next 5 or 10 minutes. I know they've been very patient on Zoom. Sometimes 3 hours is too much. Let me read some of the comments. Duncan Ken says, the voices are low.
Hey everyone, so I'm going to go through the comments, some of the comments on Zoom. First of all, let me appreciate everyone who's joining us on Zoom. They've been on since 10 o'clock and some earlier. So thank you so much for everyone who's joining us from the 7 counties that I joined earlier. We have Ezekiel Mutunga saying who sits at the National Youth Council, who elects them, and are they youth or are they aged who claim to be youth? Thank you for your comment. We have Philip Idewa who says NYC has been killed by the government. We have Abel, someone to please give a clear framework on how this NYC came to be, its mandate, and how and has it been achieved so far. So a lot of questions with regards to NYC. We have another comment from Daniel. If young people are on the menu, then they must be at the eating table. Nothing for us without us. BBI has nothing to offer the young people. Someone whose name at any point in time promises to use class are all over. But when time comes to implement, youth are excluded and it's not even an inclusion thing, but even implementation does not take place. Just skimming through literally the thousands of comments. We have one from Wendy Akos. This is a praiseworthy initiative recognizing the importance of transitioning in line with including young people. And what stands out is that the report serves as a document. Yes, literally just skimming through. Daniel Mala, as we approach 2022, the youth should not stand akimbo. They should aspire, they should organize, they should be loud, they should be interested and unrelenting. Those who are not aspiring should look beyond filthy wealth filthy, wealthy politicians and support good people in our communities who have shown willingness and capacity. Thank you so much for your comment. We also have a comment from Brian. Information is knowledge and knowledge is power. Honorable Keter, lead us to the round. Okay, not sure what round is Brian, exactly, our learned friends normally sit back and wait for things to be done wrongly at their watch. So today maybe, let me see if we can find, yes, there's one from Catherine. A very informative meeting, looking forward to more of this. Siasa Place, thanks a lot for the opportunity and barikiwe. So thank you so much on behalf of Siasa Place and also National Youth Bunge Association. So maybe Grace, you can take it on.
Grace, please come. Grace will give a lot of thanks as we wrap this meeting and call it a day. She's been doing a lot of work to ensure that this is a success. Grace, please, a lot of thanks.
Thank you, Grayson. Could we appreciate Grace? He's done, he's really wasn't easy. So great, thank you. So for the vote of thanks, on behalf of Siasa Place and National Youth Bunge, let me first start with thanking you to honoring our invite. And also those who are in Zoom, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for clearing your morning to be here. We appreciate your presence and your input in the discussion today is invaluable. So thank you so much. And to everyone who is watching this on YouTube, I've seen a lot of comments, people are asking where they can get the report. It's on our website, siasaplace.com. Which you can go there and download it in PDF format and share it on other WhatsApp platforms or wherever you may want to share it. So yes, thank you for everyone who's here, all the political parties, everyone who replied to my email, everyone who did reply to my email but still showed up. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. And yeah, so we're gonna just end this and I'm gonna invite Gray back so that we can wrap this up. Thank you.
Pigie Grace makofi hivi. Na zake ni mbili ama tatu. She does a lot of work to see us here. Haikuwagi kazi rahisi, si ndio? This is to Grace moja. Nyingine tena Grace. Nyingine tena. Thank you. We can end the Grace. We can end the stream.
Yes.
Yes.
So
please end it.
thank you so much for everyone watching on Zoom and on YouTube. This is the end of the forum today. Yes, until next time, I'll ask the technical guys to end the live.